One of my spiritual fathers, Leonard Ravenhill, said this one day. Many pastors criticize me for taking the gospel so seriously, but do they really think that on Judgment Day, Christ will chastise me saying, Leonard, you took me too seriously? This chapter that we're on today in our 260 journey really makes us take eternity seriously. We've come to Matthew 25 in the 260 journey, and Jesus starts in verse 1 with God's kingdom is like, and then he tells us three stories. This chapter is made up of three parables on the kingdom of heaven. It's a very simple outline. There is the parable of the silly virgins or foolish virgins. Then there's the parable of the talents. And finally, there's the parable of the sheep and the goats at the throne of God. There are all similarities I see amongst the three. So let me give them to you. First, there are winners and losers. Everyone does not go to heaven. There's consequence for living a selfish life, and there is a reward for living a life of being sold out to Jesus. The winners were called the ready and the wise in parable number 1. They were called the faithful in parable number 2. And in parable number 3, they were called the blessed of my Father, or the righteous, the wise, the faithful, and the righteous. The losers were called the foolish, the wicked, and the accursed ones. Second point is no one is born a loser but a chooser. That means they all had opportunities to be on the right side and on the winning side, filled with oil in the first parable, a prospering talent in the second, or doing the right thing with the poor, the imprisoned, and the sick, and the sheep and the goats. Things were presented to them that would determine what they would do with their life. The third thing that I saw was each of the losing groups have explanations, excuses, and desires to get freebies and not play by the rules. The coming of the Lord will be a time of separation, a time of evaluation, and a time of commendation. Time of separation, all of them were virgins and looked alike. Time of evaluation, we are held responsible for what we are given. And the time of commendation, everything we do for God does not go unnoticed. Finally, the end result of the silly virgins, the one-talent man, and the goats was final. Finally is final. It is called the door is shut, outer darkness, going away into eternal punishment, a place for the devil and his angels. Let me give you one quick lesson from each of these three parables. Parable number 1, what is on the inside was not looked after, though the outside resembled everyone else. It was the inside in all of us that makes all the difference. Parable number 2, we are given gifts that must produce. Parable number 3, Jesus doesn't look like any of the pictures you see on the wall. Is he black, white, Hispanic? None of the above. Some say Jewish. He is a naked convict who is hungry and thirsty. That's what he is in that parable. If Jesus had preached the same message that ministers preach today, he would never have been crucified, is what Leonard Ravenhill said. And this is one of those sobering messages Jesus preached here in Matthew chapter 25. Thank you for joining the 260 Journey.